A good evening, this is the Nerd is the Human, and welcome to this guide to unlocking the Mongols in Medieval 2's Teutonic Kingdoms DLC. Now, whilst you can see several of the Mongol starting territories here on the map in the bottom corner, they are sadly an unplayable faction. Luckily, it only takes a tiny bit of modding to access them and make their campaign fulfilling and enjoyable. Likewise, if you're interested in playing as Norway or the Kalmar Union, then look out for their guides in the description below, as I already have videos for them. As is often the case with Medieval 2, you will need to unpack the files in order to make all of the edits I recommend in this video. Luckily, there is a guide on the channel to help with that. It is appearing at the top of the screen now and is also in the description below. With the files unpacked, then we're going to head into mods and Teutonic. From there, data, world, maps, campaign, and imperial campaign, and that will take us to the file we need, deska_strat. Inside the file, you'll see that the Mongols are currently listed as a non-playable faction, so simply cut them out of there and paste them up at the top here under playable. Now, obviously you can save it up here, but when we load up the game, you'll soon see that there are a few more things that we need to fix. Here we are then with our fledgling Mongolian Empire, and things are looking alright. We already have family members, we have a bit of an army, they have upkeep attached to them already, unlike on the main game. That's excellent. You can see we've already got things like diplomats around the map, and we can indeed train other things like merchants and spies with the right buildings. But there is one thing we can't do, and that is over here on the Mashid, because we can't get ourselves priests. That's something we're going to have to add back into the game at a later point. That is compounded by the fact that our regions currently are pagan or orthodox, and we do not have very much ability to convert that whatsoever. This is going to be a crippling effect on your campaign, so it's something we are going to need to fix. So that is one problem, but another problem that you may not notice immediately is the king's purse of -2,500 gold. And that, well, you can play with this as a handicap if you like, but it is certainly a problem. The game actually lists this faction as well as the Holy Roman Empire and Norway as turtles. They are just meant to sit here and basically be weak and die in the corner. But no, we want them to be a little bit more of a flexible kind of faction. So we're going to have to make a few changes to bring the best out of the Mongols. And to do that, we will give ourselves a priest at the start so that you have the option of putting those in. So we're going to go and grab ourselves some coordinates. So I'm going to press my little apostrophe button here, and I'm going to show_cursor stat. And this will just tell me the coordinates of this spot, 132.16. And that will help me, when I go back in the files, to put a priest into the game. So we'll head back in, and we'll go and make a few changes to fix this up. Back inside deska_strat, and we're going to search for the Mongol section of the file. So Control F will bring us up with this, and we'll search for the Mongols. Down here we'll see that we start ourselves as a turtle with -2,500 in the king's purse. So let's very simply change that to 1,000. If we actually look further up in the file, you'll see that it's actually quite common to see about 1,000. Norway get 1,000. Poland get 1,000, and Denmark there actually at 1,500. So I think that's a perfectly reasonable amount for us to choose. But of course we do also need to fix ourselves up with a priest. If we scroll further down the file, then we'll see that we've got a couple diplomats already, but no priests. So what we want to do is go and steal the information from somewhere else in the file. So I'm going to Control F again and search for priest, and you'll see we've got a few examples slightly above. So let's just head up a few times, and okay, let's grab this guy, shall we? So we're going to copy that line, and we're going to head down to the Mongols once more, and from there we can simply copy and paste this line down in our section. So there we go. We're going to have to change the name to something that fits more Mongol-like. So we'll just pick one of these. We'll pick Hebe over here. Beautiful. We'll make his age a little bit younger, and of course we need to go and change these coordinates to the ones that we selected on the map. So 132.16. Beautiful. Although of course, whilst we do have this one priest to start the game, and I'm just going to change around his stats here, make it a little bit more Basic, that's fine. Yes, while we'll have this guy on the map at the start, this doesn't mean that we can recruit them yet. So to do that, we'll have to head back into another file. The file we need is going to be back inside the data folder of the Teutonic. So let's head back into there and scroll our way down to Export Desca Buildings. Inside the file, you'll soon see that the buildings are all listed here, along with the effects they have on your city. So for example, the wooden palisade here is only available in cities, but it will give you a tower level of 1, a free upkeep bonus of 2, a happiness bonus of 1, and 1 recruitment slot. Now of course we need to get ourselves some priests, so we need to head to the masjid. So we're going to go and search for that building, and when we get down to this, you can see straight away that we are able to build the actual building itself. But the issue we have, of course, is that we can't recruit it. When you see the capability here, it doesn't list our faction. So we need to go and add Mongols by copying it from up here and pasting it down there. Now, do be careful about your formatting. It can be a little bit temperamental. So we need to do that again and again for the different levels of the building. You can see that's the small masjid and this is the basic masjid. So as we do that for all the different levels of the building, we will now be able to get ourselves priests. We do need to remember to go down and do this for the castle version of the buildings as well. But really, it is as simple as that. We can save this up, and with that, we can now get ourselves some priests. Back inside the game, and you can immediately see that we've got ourselves our imam just west of Chernigov, as we coded in the game a minute ago. Although it does really highlight that every single one of these regions is 0% Islam, we're going to have a bit of an uphill struggle. Although of course now we have ourselves the smaller masjid, which will give us the imam, which is excellent news. So I'm actually going to build this in 2 cities because we actually don't have the agent capacity, having created that guy at the start of the game. So now you can see the imam is indeed a trainable unit. So we're going to get him to go and come out of the city, and eventually they might actually manage to do some converting. You see, up to 8% after a couple terms, especially when you start building these as well. You can now start to realistically play with religion as the Mongols. There is one more thing you might want to consider though, so I brought us a few more turns into the game to highlight what units that are currently available. So over here in Chernigov, I built it up to a huge city with all the buildings built, so we can see, look, we can get all of our agents. These are all the units we can recruit, and over in Pinsk, it's a fully developed citadel. There are yet more units that we can hire. However, there is something noticeable missing here. And when I think of the Mongols from the vanilla game, I think of the rocket launcher. And they're not actually here, or at least not yet. Now, if I end the turn here, you'll find that between turns 22 and 32 is when the game is designed to have the gunpowder event. And we all know the gunpowder event, that's absolutely fine. But having had that activate, we can now build the gunsmith to get us the rocket launcher. Excellent. Just for something for you to bear in mind that isn't broken, that is just set to follow the normal rules with gunpowder, unlike in the main game where the Mongols just get it nice and early. However, if you do want to make it available from the start, then we'll head back into the files and we'll make a quick tweak. Back inside Export Desca Building, and we found ourselves the rocket launcher with a simple search. Indeed, it is able to be built with the gunsmith, but of course the issue isn't that we can't build it per se, it's that we need gunpowder to be discovered. Now in theory you could just remove this here, but that will have the little side effect that these bombards will now be available for the other factions, and really what we're trying to do is give the Mongols here a little bit of early access to this gunpowder unit. So the way to solve that is we are instead going to copy this line and dump it somewhere else. So we need a building that only we will have access to. And for that I was thinking that the Sultan's racetracks would be a good solution to this. We are the only faction who can get this on this particular DLC, and you know what, I find it kind of amusing to think of us racing around with these here rocket launchers. It just amuses me. So that's excellent, we've now got them available, but do remember there's a second level to the racetrack, so we'll put them in a second time down here. Lovely, we'll tab that into position. I will just change the 1 experience over to 2. Sometimes it's nice to do that for an upgrade. So there we are. This is now all set up. We can save once again, and this is now going to work. One last thing we should probably do is give ourselves some win conditions. So we're going to head back up from the data file into World, to Maps, Campaign, Imperial Campaign, and rather than Deska Strat this time, we're going to go next door to Deska_win_conditions. This file is fairly straightforward, and you'll probably notice that every faction here has some win conditions, including the slave rebels, but not us, which is a little bit rude, I think. So I'm simply going to copy this here, and from there we'll just give it a little bit of an edit. So we are the Mongols. Beautiful. We want to hold the regions. I mean, this is entirely your choice. I'm going to go with Novgorod, and we're also going to go for Krakow. So those are going to be my two choices for the regions. 45, perfect. Outlive Novgorod. Now the faction will be written with lowercase rather than uppercase. Uppercase is for the actual city itself, so bear that in mind. For the short campaign, we'll just make it a little bit simpler. Just make it Novgorod. And once again, we're going to outlive the faction of Novgorod. That just seems to fit the general Mongol pattern of spreading into the steppes. So we're going to go along with that. We'll save this up, and I think we're ready to reload the game. Back into the game then, and now we can see everything coming together. We of course have already seen that we've made our Masjids now get us the Imams as a recruitable unit. That's going to give you a lot more options in the game, but more specifically, if we go and give this chap here a few extra stats, it will remind us why this is so important. It gives you the option of jihad. Now you're going to be able to convert these cities. You're also going to be able to launch a few more attacks and level out the religious wars that are indeed going on in the game here. Now, not only that, but you are going to be able to help your economy by sending these troops out on such jihad. Remember, you don't have free upkeep until you launch the crusade or jihad. So now, 0 upkeep, that's going to work very nicely with our assistance to the King's Purse, which of course we changed over to plus 1,000 from minus 2,500 before. That's still pretty modest, but it's certainly better than it was. On which note, if we head over to the faction window, we can see we've added our victory conditions now to hold 45 regions, including Novgorod and Krakow, and we also need to eliminate the faction Novgorod. Excellent, everything is coming together beautifully. Now the last thing that we did was to go and change around the building browser so that we could get our rocket launchers from the very start. So onto building browser and onto horse racing. This is the track, yes, the racing track that we added the rocket launchers to. So we can get these right from the start without the need for gunpowder. Oh yes, I think our Mongol campaign here is looking in much better shape, and I very much look forward to seeing how much you guys all enjoy this. Thank you for joining me today on this guide to unlocking the Mongols in Medieval 2's Teutonic Kingdoms DLC. Do let me know what other modding videos you are interested in seeing on the channel. Much of To Nerds the Human was built on modding videos, but it has been a while since I've made one. In truth, I think many of the simple and accessible modding guides have already been covered here, but I have a few more ideas, so feel free to share yours. Finally, thanks to all my channel members and patrons for supporting the increase in content on the channel. If you want to support the channel yourself, then you can follow the links in the description. For now though, I will leave you. I am Thomas, this is To Nerds the Human, and this has been a guide to unlocking the Mongols in Medieval 2 Teutonic Kingdoms DLC. Thank you friends, and bye bye. Today we're going to go for particularly aggressive diplomacy. Oh yes, it worked. Kablamo! You're always going to die, Steve. Oh! My feudal knights! My crispy, crispy feudal knights! The ram's burning! Right at the death!